They have the whole freaking pack. You know what? You would love to work with me because I have my shit together. It's not a charity event that those companies are running. They profiteer from us, from you and I. Don't dive head forward into Novated Leasing because the numbers add up and because Dimitri said half a year ago something positive about it. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Novated Leasing. I spoke in the past about the kind of prolific, a few mainstream ways of acquiring a vehicle in Australia: to buy with cash, to buy on a finance, or to buy on Novated Leasing. Once again, none of this is financial advice. I don't pretend to be a financial expert. However, I bought cars, many cars, in different ways, paying cash. Now, this Subaru Outback is on Novated Leasing and financing, etc., etc. So today I will share with you my personal experience as to what it says on the tin, what it says on paper versus the reality of it. I'm sure this will be absolutely helpful for some of you if you're still considering something like Novated Leasing. Also, I feel like I had to do this because I basically recommended Novated Leasing. If Novated Leasing is available to you, if it's right for you, the conclusion of my previous video was there are different ways to acquire a vehicle in Australia and anywhere else in the world, but Novated Leasing is pretty good. Okay, this video is sponsored by FIOBOC, my very good friends FIOBOC. They are creators of premium style, premium quality and technical clothing. It's plain clothing. They have hoodies, they have jackets, rainproof jackets, they have amazing pants, like nice pants as well, trust me, as well as t-shirts. No print, fits with every style really, really high quality. You will just have to take my word for it. The t-shirts are really nice. I am just like every other average man out there. I like cheap, okay? I like cheap stuff. FIOBOC is not cheap, but once you have this in your hands, once you touch this material, once you wash it, once you take a look at that, versus the cheap stuff that we can get from variety of stores out there in Australia and other places in the world, you see the difference, my friend. First of all, feels very good. Second of all, retains the heat or repels the heat depending on what kind of particular apparel you have chosen. I'm really grateful to FIOBOC for sending me some of these shirts and some of these hoodies to feature over here on my channel, and perhaps to give you a little bit of a discount and a bit of a link in the description below. Now, let's zoom straight into this. We're not gonna dilly-dally around the bush. The main problem that I'm experiencing with Novated Leasing, and it's not a problem, it's a difficulty, and it's something that they will not tell you about. They simply will not tell you about this, okay? It is the transfer of Novated Leasing from one company to another. There you go. It says in any FAQ of any Novated Leasing company that I have researched, and I've researched like a dozen, okay? So your company, your employer works with a Novated Leasing company. That is who they basically salary sacrifice through and who they arrange these things through. This is not a Novated Leasing guide, it's an insight video, so do your further research. So your employer works with one or two, if you're lucky, Novated Leasing companies. Some of them are slightly better, I'm hearing, some of them are slightly worse. I, in my professional career, dealt with about 3 so far, different ones, and look, I don't want to be blasé about it and broad stroke about it, but I'm gonna say they're just as bad as each other. As in, they are lovely on pre-sales, they are lovely on sales, so to speak. The initial consultant thing with you is timely, is go, yes, everything is great. But then if you want something from them, for example, chasing them up for closure of the deal, even if you source the vehicle, run ahead of myself, like, yes, it takes time when they source the vehicle for you. I'm not even talking about that. Say you have a vehicle standing by like I did in pretty much every case, because I'm a bit OCD about this. So that's when you chase them, that's when it turns into a nightmare. Now, it's not a nightmare yet, but what prompted creation of this video is that I am changing an employer currently, and this Subaru Outback is on a relatively fresh Novated lease. It's a little bit over 6 months of ownership, so there is still a while to go. Obviously, I don't want to suddenly close this lease and pay off the owing on it and whatnot. That was not the point of the lease. The point of the lease was tax deduction. The point of it was the legal way to reduce your taxable income. That's why people get these cars on novated leasing. Of course, it costs you. It's a finance still. It's a loan, so to speak, yeah, and you pay for servicing of that loan. But the point of novated lease was always twofold. First, you can get the car that otherwise you can't afford out of pocket. Boom, you get a new car. Awesome. Second, you beat depreciation because you can just ride this out as a rent, so to speak, and then you hand it back or you sell it for more expensively at the end of your novated lease. That still stands. That still stands. But one very, very common kind of point in every FAQ that I've seen for novated leasing is that, oh, what happens if I change employers? Oh, easy peasy. Yes, we do it all the time. You transfer it to another thing. Okay, here is the reality of it. An employee transfers from one big company in Australia to another very big company in Australia. Novated leasing, obviously, novated leasing companies are partnered with both of those companies. Those novated leasing companies even talk to each other. I am even, look, my consultant from one company has worked for 20 years in another company. So it's not even a completely like, you know, one of those niche cases when for some reason, like the company is not established, novated leasing arrangements are not established, it's a smaller employer. It's not that case I'm talking about. I'm talking mainstream case. So what I'm being told now is that, first of all, yeah, it's possible to transfer. Okay, they don't go against the laws of Australia and don't fall under false advertising clauses. Yeah, luckily for me. But basically, just to get an officer assigned to you in a new company so that they start looking after you, like you are their driver as they refer to you, just to do that, it's 3 to 4 weeks waiting time. Guess what? I've been already waiting 4 weeks. I deliberately am not hammering them here, well, both for relatively small viewership, so what am I achieving if I even said to you exactly what companies I'm dealing with. But I hope that I don't have to do a follow-up video on this. If there is sufficient amount of interest from you, my friends, and I'm not a mind reader, give me a bit of a comment and a bit of a like in the comments below the video so that I know that you're interested in this topic. If you want to hear the continuation of this saga, I hope I don't have to, but I will do it, and I will tell you exactly what companies I'm dealing with so that maybe you can steer clear from them. But big company partnered with another, I understand, pretty well established novated leasing company, 3 weeks just to get an officer assigned to my case so that I can be properly looked after. And I'm at that stage. Right now. Now, what have I been notified of and what you need to be aware of else or as well is that, I mean, it's obvious that if your employment in one company finishes officially, so at that point in time, the novated leasing company that has been helping you so far, well, they can't do anything else. They can't deduct any more salary. You're not getting any more salary from that company. So there is a gap. There is a bridge between that state and when you are formally employed, payroll number issued in a new company, and you have an officer, and you have the new company that has signed in for you, and the whole new novated lease essentially has been reestablished in that new novated leasing company. There is a gap. That gap falls onto you, my friend, aka onto me. So because it's ultimately a loan, novated leasing company is just yet another middleman, and they are packaging the thing for you, but ultimately they're negotiating a finance. It's still, at the end of the day, kind of behind all of this, it's a loan. Yeah, it's a loan. Not using finance as a term because it refers to a different kind of acquiring of a vehicle. It's a loan with a bank. So that gap I would have to basically bridge out of pocket, not pre-tax, obviously. It's just an out-of-pocket expense, yeah? And that's what you would have to deal with. I understand the logic of it. We live in a real world and all that kind of stuff. Australia is not particularly an efficient country, but I know that there are worse examples out there. Let's not even argue about that. What I am slowly starting to get a little bit worked up and disappointed about is the fact that I have done my OCD due diligence and I have informed them as soon as I knew that I'm going to have a new job, that I have accepted a new offer. That's been a month ago. A month ago. They have no excuse not to say, oh, you haven't given us. And as you know me, well, I take my word for it if you don't, being OCD also means that I have my ducks in a row. I have every pay slip, I have every bank account statement, I have every document. So don't even try to tell me, oh, poor Novated Leasing officers are ran off their feet then chasing you for the documents. They have the whole freaking pack. You know what? You would love to work with me because I have my shit together, okay? And a lot of people don't. So there is absolutely no freaking excuse for them to be this inefficient, considering the size of the company again, considering the size of the other company. Like, man, oh man, with the taxes we pay and with the fees that they don't forget to take from us, it's not a charity event that those companies are running. They profiteer from us, from you and I. Anyway, you can tell that I'm being a bit worked up, which is a good sign to start wrapping up this video. Message is loud and clear. Watch that original video where I sort of speculate about the other methods of acquiring a vehicle in Australia. That video still stands. And I still think that Novated Leasing is pretty good. It's a pretty good option, especially for some of us who, especially, my friend, if you're not planning to leave that employer. If you're one of those people who just like is in the same employment for 5 years, which is a common case, okay? Some of us in specific jobs, in specific services that we provide, we move a lot more often. We move, I don't know, every 8 months to 2 years perhaps, and that is in business consulting, in those kind of services that I provide personally, because as opposed to the popular belief, this lovely shebang is not paying for my well-being and the well-being of my family in Sydney. Are you surprised, are you? Anyway, I hope I have at least provided a little bit of a sobering, hopefully not dampening, but sobering addition to that original video of acquiring vehicles in Australia. Don't dive head forward into Novated Leasing because the numbers add up and because Dimitri said half a year ago something positive about it. I am now going through another process of not changing the vehicle, but changing who the Novated Lease is done by, is serviced. This story is not over. Once again, it's not the most pleasant story to record for me and to talk to you about, but it is life, it is ownership of the cars in Australia, so there you go. So I can follow up on this. Let me know if you're interested. Hopefully it will all wrap up nicely once they kick into gear, these companies, and all that happens. But at the moment, I'm in waiting pattern and I'm getting slightly impatient and slightly disappointed with just how inefficient the process seems to be, even when you have done all the right things already on your side as a customer, so to speak. There you go. Insight into Novated Leasing in Australia. It's not all peachy, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. You're welcome. See you later. Talk to you next week about something cars related. Goodbye for now.